is baby Gabriel?
The 8-month-old was last seen at a Texas motel back in 2009.
I don't exist anymore. I'm a ghost.
The boy's mother, 23-year-old Elizabeth Johnson, picks up everything and takes her baby on a 2-day journey, traveling from Arizona to San Antonio, Texas.
She told me on the phone, "You're never going to see Gabriel again."
Where are you? Where's Gabriel?
Do you want to talk to girl? What's the question today?
But one person who never stopped searching for Gabriel, his dad, Logan McQueary. He's never given up, stopping at nothing to find his only son. I met with him in San Antonio, face-to-face, father to father, and Logan described for me a disturbing history with Gabe's mom, Elizabeth Johnson. He talked about what I would call really an abusive relationship, a cycle, a pattern of big explosive fights and big makeups, and then more fights. But Logan kept going back. It only ended when baby Gabe disappeared.
There was good times that we had too. You know, those are the times that I enjoyed them too. We had, you know, great times together. We used to go to the park and we'd put Gabriel in a stroller and push him around. And then by the time he got back, he'd be sleeping and we could put him to bed. And we talked the whole time while we were walking. And, you know, it's just a regular relationship.
Normal, regular, great. I mean, it's simple, but it's great.
I actually remember the day. It was St. Patty's Day, and we invited a bunch of people over to kind of have St. Patty's Day party, and she got off work early, and she was supposed to be working that night, and she got mad because she wanted to spend time with me, and I said she wanted me to kick everybody out of the house. She just kept getting mad and mad, and then eventually it escalated where she slapped me in the face, and she grabbed me by the throat. And right there in the living room, and her brother yelled at her for it, and I said, "Get out of my house, I don't want you here."
And that's in front of her brother, in front of other people as well?
Yeah.
So it's like an emotional explosion that you had.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you notice anything like that?
Yeah.
So that's a warning sign, right?
A little bit, yeah.
But obviously, I mean, all right, so now you're apart for a couple weeks, but you guys get back together somehow.
We talked, and she apologized, and, you know, I told her I've been through it before in other relationships where girls have smacked me, and I don't want to put up with it anymore. And she apologized and said, you know, I won't do it anymore, and we started going out again and dating.
Were there other times?
I was hanging out in the backyard with one of my friends, Justin. We were sitting around the fire, and I was just standing there, you know, warming my hands in the fire, and she came up right behind me and shoved me right in the fire. She picked up a bottle of Jack Daniels and threw it at me. She went pretty much ballistic. I got a call from my apartment manager saying I'm calling the cops on Elizabeth. She broke out every single window in our apartment, did the same thing, cut everything up. She cut the tongues out of every single pair of shoes I owned. Cut all my socks in half, my boxers, everything.
What was it about her, okay? Because what you're doing is you're taking some really bizarre behavior and putting it aside. Was there something about her? Was it
I don't know,
chemistry? Was it
I guess it was
just the beauty? What, do you know?
I couldn't really tell you. I've thought about it a lot, and I don't know, I liked her, and I just kind of overlooked the bad things, and because she was really nice and, you know, a good person, you know, as far as I thought. There was just a few little times that she would do things like that. Those are the times I kind of look at, too, and kind of wonder to myself, how the hell did all this stuff happen?
Yeah, how did we get here?
We've reached out to Elizabeth Johnson's attorney. He says he can't comment on the allegations made by Logan, but adds that he has evidence that shows Logan wasn't a, quote, model father. Joining me tonight, in-session correspondent Beth Karras from our sister network, True TV. She's at Tammy Smith's trial in Arizona. Also joining us, psychologist Dr. Erik Fisher. Thank you both for being here. Dr. Fisher, let me start with you. And I listened to him tell these stories, and then what really stuck out to me was he said, I've been in other relationships where girls have smacked me. Right. And then I heard him describe the things he alleges that Elizabeth Johnson did to him, but they always got back together. He always went back to her. Explain that to us.
Well, this is a classic
abusive relationship that you see where people often go back, but also you have a personality style for somebody who feels the need to stay in abusive relationships, and sometimes people are a magnet for finding those, whether they're men or women. So while you would think this isn't very common in men, it's not that uncommon that these relationships happen. There's probably a part of him that wants to save or fix or rescue these women that he's in relationships with. So he's trying to fix that, and potentially if he can fix that relationship, then maybe that makes him worthy, because often underneath what we call a chronic rescuer, somebody who wants to fix women who feel damaged or men who feel damaged, is someone who feels very damaged themselves.
Dr. Fisher, how about this explosiveness that's described? If, in fact, these stories of Logan McQueary are true, and this girlfriend is able to do that to her boyfriend and the father of her child, does that in any way equate to her ability to act violently or do something to her own child?
Well, if you look at her history, she was raised in the foster care system and was adopted and was passed around from home to home. What I look at there is somebody who's probably grown up with attachment issues, if not a reactive attachment disorder. Often people who grow up with attachment disorders, they become borderline personality disordered as they get older, is kind of how we would term that diagnostically, and they don't attach to people. It's a person is an object to them, it's a possession. So like when he said that she would want to spend time with him and everybody had to go, that's because she had to win that situation. She needed him as a possession. Her child was a possession. And if she didn't want it, it had no value to her. So that's how she could take an object that's a human being that people would love, but then when she had no use for it, she'd just throw it away. So that could very well happen.
Erik Fisher, Beth Karras, thank you. Plenty of